Welcome to the Fighting Chance College Football Betting Show. That's my guy, Dan Hickman. Give him a follow on Twitter at DanH720. Myself at Kayvon_sports. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you're not already following Fighting Chance and all the great workers and writers and producers and content makers over there at Fighting Chance Fantasy, definitely go check them out, especially with NFL kickoff coming around the corner tomorrow, which is super exciting. But this is a college football show, and we are now into week 2, which is kind of week 3, depending on where you get started in college football. So things are really starting to hit, which is fun because that means we're starting to see trends. That means we're starting to be able to gather data on teams, and that's how you win long-term in betting. When you're able to really do your homework, your research, your information, and obviously the more information that you have, the more homework that you can do, the more accurate your picks will hopefully be. So it's been a fun season so far, getting off to the start. Dan, how are you doing? I'm going to pass to you 1 second quickly before those that are new that don't know. This is a show that we do every week. Dan and I put out 6 picks total, 3 picks each, and one of our picks between those, each of us have a best bet. That's our favorite pick of the week, and we do it every single week here on the Fighting Chance Fantasy YouTube page. So thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. It will definitely help us out in the long run. Dan, pass it over to you, man. How are you doing?
Doing really good myself. My betting card last week was an outright dumpster fire.
Happens, man.
And, no one's perfect. It's my first 0-3 week since we've done the show. So anyone that's fallen, sorry, I know you saw that. But it is what it is. Week 0, week 1s are always kind of tougher. Once we get some data here, like 4 or 5 weeks in, I'm really confident we'll get this ship turned around. So
no doubt. But hey, it's been a year and a half we've been doing this. For the first time, having an 0-3 week is pretty impressive. So it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go ahead and throw this up 1 sec. We'll just kind of look at what we've done so far in this young season. Oh shit!
That's it's all right.
There we go. Yeah. No one saw that, hopefully, but yeah, real quick. I just alluded to it. 0-3. Georgia State was pretty close, actually. I know the final score doesn't really reflect it. They kept Ritter pretty at bay, honestly. I was pretty happy with their defense. They just couldn't get their passing game going. I watched that condensed game highlight, by the way. Our under 51.5 on Pitt, really, I say our because I know you like that one too. That was very disappointing. We're actually going we'll look at going the other way with one of those teams this week. My Rice play was a trash play that ended up just being terrible. I went against the public and sharps and just got
I was worried about that one for you. I understood why you took it, but I was worried about that one.
It was a pure play on the numbers, and I don't really do that too often. But I did win my first pick of the season, so I'm 1-3. Minus just a shave over 2 units. I'm not sweating it. No doubt. If you want to talk about yours, you can.
Yeah, I mean, mine just quickly 2-1. Really thought I was going to have a 3-0 week. If anybody watched that Purdue game, they blew it. They should have won that game. They should have won that game outright, and they just blew it because they don't know how to run the football, Purdue. If you run the football and kill some time, maybe you win that bet. I thought for a second that Clemson was going to get nowhere near covering, but they really turned it on at the end, and that really saved me because our best bet, I put a little extra than 1 unit on it, so that really pushed me ahead this season. 2-2 on the season, as you see below. 2-2 for me, 1-3 for Sean. For Dan, you put those together, 3-3 overall, and that's actually, as crazy as it sounds, for some people that aren't used to betting, it's not terrible when you're going into week 2 of the season, especially based off what we did last year. That 3-3 overall is going to really bump up. There is no doubt about that. We can move on to our picks now, unless there's something else you want to add, Dan.
Not really.
Okay, let's move on then. Let's do it. Do you want us to open up with your first pick of the week?
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
All right.
Before we actually, yeah, let's rewind a bit. So like the reason I kind of want to explain like how I landed on the three we're about to walk through. There was like actually a lot of plays at first glance this week when the lines open and into even as soon as today, between Sunday and today, that I was like really curious about. And I was like, oh yeah. Like one was like that Fresno game and Oregon State game. Like there's a Florida Kentucky game. I think these are like really good games to watch, but I really don't like betting on them. So, there's various reasons for that. And I kind of just fell back on like an old kind of safe play for my first one here. So I'll just lead right into it. I mean, this is as vanilla, this is as square or plain Jane of a pick as it gets. On a week where I see a lot of like evenly matched games and a lot of blowouts and a lot of sharp lines being set, at least to me right now, like I don't really see a lot of value out there on the spreads themselves. I'm going just to the old trusty Alabama Crimson Tide here.
Never go wrong.
I took the minus 20.5 actually like a day or two ago. It's at minus 20 right now. It opened at minus 18.5. I mean, I get it. Texas getting a little love. Sark's their coach, former Saban, former like worked on the same team. Butchered that, but yeah, like he usually has this thing where he likes to cover against his former employees, kind of like we were talking about before the show.
He loves it.
And I don't really think Bama's going to take their foot off the gas. And if you look at last week, I mean, Utah State's a team that won the Mountain West last year. They're not some FCS school that Bama beat 55-0. And it was 55-0 after 3 quarters last week. And then Bama just took their foot off the gas in the 4th quarter, but didn't let them score. I mean, that defense is playing like they're straight pissed. They lost that championship game last season, like I was saying before the show as well. And I just, Texas, they're going to get there, I think, as far as being a title contender team under Sark and with this talent they have. And hopefully they'll be able to build on that as a team. But, I mean, I just don't get backing them in this spot. I'm going to go with Bama here for the whole game at 20.5 or even 20. Or if I get better, I'm going to add to that. Right now I got a whole unit. It could be 2 units. Even though it's my 3rd pick or whatever out of our picks. I really like it a lot. And there's another good angle out there too. Do you want to talk about that, or what do you have to add?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I love the pick. I also am playing the full game. I personally would like the first half more. I love the full game. Like I think Alabama crushes everything. But if I had to pick one I love more, I like the first half more, just because you never know what can happen at the end of a college football game. The good thing is this is Alabama. And just like Dan said, they're not going to take their foot off the gas. And Saban loves to run it up against his former opponents. And he loves to also beat up on a team like Texas, where everyone, it's Texas. It's a big brand. And hey, we're Alabama. Like, we can be a big brand too. We clearly are a big brand, even though you guys have all that money. Saban loves to do those type of things. And I just don't look, nothing's ever a lock in this business, but I don't see how any way Texas's offensive line, which is full of freshmen, are going to shut down Will Anderson and that defensive line. I mean, Will Anderson might have 3-4 sacks this game. It's going to be hell for Quinn Ewers back there. I love the first half. I love the full game. I've already placed a bet on both of those with you, so I'm with you. I think you can't go wrong on that. Look, we like to try and find outside the box plays sometimes, but sometimes you just got to go with the obvious play. And the obvious play here is Alabama. They're just too good of a team right now. There's clearly a hierarchy in college football, and Alabama and Georgia showed us who's in that hierarchy last week.
Exactly. It's such a if it were a situation where Texas, whoever else you consider to be the better teams in the Big 12 were even in the same ballpark as the best of college football or the best of the SEC, which is what we're talking about in Bama here, then it would be a very different handicap, I think, for me. There's no way I'm taking the other side. I think people out there might do it, but don't do it is my advice.
I don't know how you can do it. I'm telling you,
I don't know how you could, but
either bet Bama or stay off. Like if you really don't want to bet on Bama because you don't like Bama or you feel like you want to be dangerous and risky, don't do it. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it was a pretty obvious play to me on the board. I like to have something usually spicier for my first decision or third pick of the 3-2-1 order we do, but that it is what it is. Give me Bama -20.
Yeah. Hey, we're looking for winners. That's all that matters. I love it. For my first play, I am going with Arizona State and Oklahoma State over 56.5. Look, Oklahoma State showed us last week. If you guys roll back to a year ago, Oklahoma State became this team that we're not really used to. They became this defensive juggernaut and a team that was surviving close games with their defense. And they weren't scoring a lot of points. Now, fast forward to now, and I tweeted this out on Saturday, Jim Knowles leaves, goes to Ohio State. Look at the difference. This is how important coaching is. This is why I always talk about coaching on the show. Ohio State narrowly wins a game, playing their defense the best possible because their offense didn't show up that much. And Oklahoma State gets into, even though they were dominating the game, they let Central Michigan come all the way back at the end and then put up, I think it was like 36 on them or something. I don't remember. They put up a ton of points on them. Now we're going to an Arizona State team that a lot of people were crapping on before the season came in. And I get it. There was a lot going on with that program. Jaden Daniels leaves. I was very impressed with Arizona State's offense in week one. I understand it's a nobody opponent, no disrespect out there, but I liked what I saw enough from their offense, and I did not like what I saw enough from Oklahoma State's defense to bet the over in this. And this is the big kicker in this. This is what I did dug up to really land on this play. In week one, Oklahoma State ran a play every 14.6 seconds, which is insane for college football. I mean, that is a high tempo offense. And what that means is they're going to get the ball a lot, and Arizona State's going to get the ball a lot too. When you're running that many plays that quick, it's destined for both teams to get the ball. I don't think either defense shows up. I love over 56.5. Oklahoma State, Arizona State, two state teams going at it. Mike Gundy, Herm Edwards, give me the over, baby. Over 56.5, Arizona State and Oklahoma State. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a solid play for sure. I like it. I'll probably tell you on that.
I want to go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead. You're good.
I wanted to add, before you go into your next pick here, I wanted to give everyone a kind of like a betting nugget that I also found, which I just found was fascinating, dude. So I just had to tell people this. This is a trend that I found in college football, and it goes like this. When you are off a loss as a road favorite in week one, so what that means is you were a favorite on the road in week one, and then you are on the road again in week two, that team is 1-12 against the spread. You know the one team that is in that category? So again, I know those things can be confusing, so I just want to say it again. If you were a favorite on the road and you lost that game, and then you're on the road again in week two, you are 1-12, not straight up, against the spread. That applies to Louisville at Central Florida. So if anybody was kind of on the fence betting Central Florida, they have a very good odds percentage going against them based off that trend right there. 1-12. That is a crazy number in betting right there. So I just want to throw that out there. I might end up playing UCF, but it's not one of my picks on the show. But I just thought that was a really cool stat. Some people might want to play it. You never know.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's, people are always trying to find something on their card for before Saturday. If there's like a Friday, I think you'll see a lot of Friday, there's the Friday night games this year, and that's the one this week, one of two, I think. I'm kind of split on that one right now. I have no action whatsoever, but I think you can make a case for either team there. But moving along here, and also I took Arizona State, I want to say, last week. This was off the show, but I just had a personal play, and it was kind of a last-minute thing.
That
And
worked
I got
out.
a good enough number, and it worked out against the spread. So
Great pick.
losing week, but it was one of the bright spots. And so I'll just jump into my second play here. I'm pretty stoked about this one because I think we're on the same page.
We are,
if I'm
man.
not
I
mistaken.
usually don't like to do this, but
Me
this was
neither.
great. You were the one that found it. I'll give you the credit. It's too good of a play. I fell in love with it. We both had to ride it.
Absolutely. So we're talking Pittsburgh versus Tennessee. We're going to go over 66.5. I know it sounds scary, a lot of points. It opened at 64.5. My notes on this, I'll just roll right through it. I got, it's not a secret at this point. Tennessee's second-year coach, Hoople, I think is how you say it. I might be butchering that, but Heupel. Okay, you got, yeah. All right. Really fast style. They're the only team in all of college football last season that had over 3 plays per minute.
That's crazy.
Which is just bonkers. I mean, the pace that they play at on offense, whether they're running or throwing the ball, it doesn't seem to really matter when I've watched them. They also got 4 or 5 starters back on that offensive line. So they're just in sync and ready to run that pace and attack every game that way. It seems like I haven't seen them ever really slow it down. No matter what's happening. They also have a really good rushing attack, so it just, and a good passing attack. So, I mean, can talk about, what's his name? Hooker all day. He used to play at Virginia Tech. I just don't think they're going to really get slowed down too much by this Pittsburgh defense. As good as of a unit as it still is, as good of a unit as it was last year. Look at last week, what happened against West Virginia of all teams. They averaged like 5.6 yards per carry in that game against this same defense. And, I mean, they put some points on the board. They had 8 trips inside the Pittsburgh 40-yard line. So, like, they could have done better finishing drives against Pitt. And so maybe if you want to, like, find holes in my logic, it might be, well, let's play devil's advocate. It would be, maybe Pitt's going to be still a really good defense at stopping people from getting into the end zone and finishing drives. But I just, I really like this. I think the Pitt defense is a downgrade a little bit from last season. I think that's when it's all said and done, the crystal ball, it's going to end up not being what it used to be. There's nothing weather-wise that's going to be a factor here. I looked at that last night. It's going to be a nice day, right around 80 and minimal to no wind. And the Pittsburgh offense, Slovis threw for over 300 yards last week against West Virginia. Yeah, they're slowing it down. That's the coach narrative and the coach speak with Pitt, and they did run it a little more than what, ratio-wise compared to the past, compared to what we saw last season. But I think what's going to happen here is even if they try to go slow, the only thing I'm scared of is if Pitt actually takes an early lead here by like 10 or something. That's like the only kind of game flow that maybe has me concerned. I mean, and even then, Tennessee's going to force them to play at a high pace. So give me the over here. And do you have anything you want?
Yeah, I'll add it. I think that Pitt is in a whirlwind of trouble if they don't play at a high pace. I think it could be an absolute blowout if they don't play at a high pace. They're going to have to. Tennessee can score, man. Mm-hmm. They are a really good offensive team. And I was extremely impressed with Pittsburgh's offense last week. I did not see that coming. And JT Daniels, while he's a good quarterback at West Virginia, what you're about to see at Tennessee is better because Hooker can run it and throw it. They've got better weapons than West Virginia, and they're going to be able to score faster than West Virginia did. So Pitt is going to have to keep up. Yeah, this is both of our plays for our second one. Again, we wish we could give you something different, but sometimes you just got to take what's in front of you. Over 66.5. Pitt and Tennessee. I don't really need to add more to that. I just think it's going to be a very high script pace. I think both teams know that too, and I don't even think they're going to bother. I think they're just going to go, and who can outscore each other the most. And I'm really excited to watch this game come Saturday.
Yeah, me too, man. Definitely. So this probably could have almost been a best bet of the show, honestly, for either one of us. So we're pretty confident on that one, to say the least.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is it about that time?
It's about the best bet time, man. You want to start us off?
Yeah, definitely. So
I'm
going to involve
okay.
one of the same teams from my best bet last week that did not work out. And I'm just going to pair them up with the other team that is the over machine of college football right now.
That doesn't have a defense.
That does not have a defense.
I mean, like, literally.
I'm not going to sit here and make fun of them because, you know, they're like the rival to my favorite team. I'm not here to make fun of them. I will say that. But, man, UNC has such a potent offense. This Drake May kid's going to be something else. Already is something else.
He's got NFL written all over him.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I watched that UNC app game too.
It's so fun.
And then I still went back and watched the condensed highlight just because it was that good of a game. So let's just go through this one really quick. So my pick is Georgia State hosting Carolina or UNC. And I'm going to take the over 64.5 as my – I'm sorry, the over 64.5 is my best bet. This actually opened up at a whopping 68, and it's gone down to 64.5, and I'm still on the over. I don't really trust this DC for Carolina or Chizik. I don't really trust him to magically just whatever's going on with them giving up all these points. I don't really trust that that's going to be any better this week, other than the fact that maybe this offense they're up against is not as potent as last week. Not quite. You know, Georgia State wasn't exactly killing it in the passing game last week. South Carolina is a better defense, though. So, you know, it's something to think about there. This is mind-boggling stuff. Last week in that fourth quarter, UNC gave up 40 points. 40, not 14, 40. All right. 61 points in that game to App State they gave up. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to do that again this week, but if they did like half that or a little under half that, I still love this bet. They also gave up 649 yards of total offense. And then when they have so that's like, you know, I'm just saying in terms of why this is a great over. Because on both sides of the ball, the UNC is an over machine. All right. So that's why, like, defensively, what they're giving up, offensively, the good side of their team, you know, and this is what's going to keep them in games and allow them to steal or win games, which is what you saw last week. You know, they're pretty fortunate to win, but they pulled it out. Their offense is just operating at a really, really high pace. And they're scoring. When they get inside the 40, they're scoring. Once we have a few weeks of this, I can't wait to see what it looks like. But, man, I mean, they're firing on all cylinders offensively. I think they're going to score a lot against Georgia State, and I do think they're going to give up still quite a bit too. If Josh Downs, what a awesome slot wideout that kid is.
Yeah.
If he actually suits up and plays in this game, it just makes it even a little better of a play, but we don't even need that to happen. Mm-hmm. He wasn't in there last week, and that's just scary to think of. I mean, scary good, to be clear.
No doubt.
So give me the over 64.5. If you want to wait and try to find a better number because it's been headed down, that's fine, but it could start bouncing back up. I'm really going to be watching this one close, and I might put in a tweet about it later. So, yeah. What's your best bet? Or
you can't go wrong with that. I mean, UNC is just, you look at UNC and you just go straight to the over on the bet slip. There's no even reason to think further on it because their defense is literally invisible. And Georgia State can score as well too. So I mean, UNC's offense is so good they could put up 40 on their own. So like it's just a whirlwind of both sides where I'm totally with you on that. For my best bet, I'm going with something that I have really found a market in lately, and excuse me, these past 2 weeks, and I'm loving it. And that's team totals. Early in college football, you see a lot of big spreads that cover, but the big spreads can be a little worrisome. So those teams are going to dominate. So the best way to go about it is just take that team's team total over. And one team that I'm very high on moving forward, not that much this year, even though I do like them a decent amount this year, but definitely moving forward is Miami. I'm taking Miami's team total over 37.5. Look, I even like their spread minus 25. I just don't want to have to worry about the backdoor cover because I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to stress about it. I think Miami is going to easily score 40 points in this game, and I think that is just the best way to play this. You have a Southern Miss team that couldn't really stop anything Liberty had. Liberty just lost a very talented quarterback in Malik Willis. Really, the only good piece, in my opinion, on Liberty's team is their running back, and that's Frank Gore Jr. That's Frank Gore's son, Frank Gore Jr., who's very fun to watch. But that doesn't matter to us because that's offensively. I don't see them having any chance. You have a Miami team here that Mario Cristobal has already in his one-off season done a good job building an offensive line. It's not great, but it's already better than what it was. And to me, you have my quarterback where, as an Atlanta Falcons fan, if I can't get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud next year in the draft, I want Tyler Van Dyke. I am extremely high on Tyler Van Dyke. I think he has NFL all over him. If you guys sit down and watch this guy play, this guy is a really good quarterback. And they have a good running game. They have weapons all over. I don't think it's going to be hard for them to get to 40 points in this game. I love Miami over 37.5. It's my favorite play of the week. I've already hammered it. I just think it's a huge mismatch. Then I think Miami's going to be able to score easy and often, and they're going to want to score quickly to get up big and then get out because they have Texas A&M the following week. So they want to get out. They want to show out. They're going to score quickly. That's why I stay away from the spread. Hit that team total. Miami over 37.5 is my team total, is my favorite bet. You can get those bets pretty much at any book, by the way. It's definitely out on DraftKings right now. It's definitely out on FanDuel right now. And I would get that earlier because usually the team totals go up by kickoff time. So and those points in team totals matter because of the point differential. If you land on a 36.5, well, you need to score a certain amount of touchdowns. If you land on 38.5, it changes what you need to score. So get it as early as you can. I love Miami team total over as my favorite play of the week.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
I think that makes a lot of sense because Southern Miss, I don't think is like the best backdoor cover candidate, but the fact that they're playing, you said at Texas A&M next week, they get up, they may not want to show much of a hand after that in the second half, and maybe that is more so what could potentially allow Southern Miss to get that backdoor cover. Hence, going total makes total sense to me as well. I agree.
Exactly, man. Awesome. Well, let's show the recap for the great listeners out there as we head into week 2. As you see, Dan has Alabama minus 20 at Texas. Love that play. As you can see, Dan and I are on Pittsburgh and Tennessee over 66.5. And then Dan's best bet is Georgia State and UNC over 64.5. For me, Oklahoma State and Arizona State over 56.5. Just like I said, I'm with Dan on Pittsburgh and Tennessee over 66.5. And my best bet is Miami team total over 37.5 for Southern Miss. Those are our week 2 plays for the college football fighting chance betting show. Dan, do you have anything to add there, my man?
No, not at all. That's really it. Just keep an eye on both of us on Twitter
Yes.
because I might share like I think I'm gonna take two of my totals that I had here, my three bets, and maybe add another total and make a nice little parlay for you guys on Twitter. So
Those
definitely
are
follow
fun.
me for that. Yeah, I think this is a just a fun week. Well, it'll be a fun week for sure, but this is kind of a week where there's not a lot against the spread that I really like, and so there is a lot maybe on the total side I like, and just one of those weeks where that's how it falls.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Definitely follow him at DanH720. We'll tweet out plays all the way up until kickoff. So it's really get these bets in as soon as you can, and then follow us up until kickoff if you want some more action. Myself at Kayvon_sports. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe. It really helps us out. We appreciate all of you out there that are listening. If you ever want us to bring up a game that we didn't talk about, you can always hit us up on Twitter. You can always just put us in the comment section during a next show, and we will bring that up. Again,
Yep.
that's Dan Hickman. I'm Kayvon Ezami. This is the Fighting Chance College Football Betting Show, and we'll talk to you next week. Let's go win some tickets.
Good luck.